Are up to Siman Nun Aleph Sif Vav. The Mechaber says Tzarech lahafsik bein Elilim ubein Hashem Shemayim Asa. This is during Pesukah de Zimra. You have to make a pause between Elilim and Hashemayim Asa because we don't want, God forbid, to make it sound like Hashem is Elilim, which is false gods. The Mishnah Berurah explains Ma'at. Okay. The Mechaber then says in Zion Tzarech lechavin bepasuk Poseach Hasidecha. You have to have kavana when you say Poseach Hasidecha of Ashrei. This is a lot of people don't know this. V'im loy kiven, and if you did not have kavana, tzarech lachzor la'amrei pam acheres. You have to repeat. You have to repeat. Now, the Mishnah Berurah explains tzarech lechavin. Why do you have to have kavana by this pasuk? She'ikir ma shekavu loymer tilu l'david b'chol yoyim. The whole reason why we say Ashrei so many times, hu b'shvil oisei pasuk. Because Shemazke by Shivcha Shakadosh Baruch Hu Shemashkiach Al B'Riyosav V'Parnasav. That is the main crux of Ashrei. That HaKadosh Baruch Hu is Pesach Zech Masbil Charas, and that Hashem takes care of all creations. So if you didn't have kavanah, you have to repeat. Mishnah Berurah explains: Ayin b'chay Adam shei b'shem elvush shetzarich loimer mitpasik Pesach Hasidecha ad Seif hamizbar. Meaning, if you realize, let's say you finish Ashrei, you realize I didn't have kavanah, so you start Pesach Hasidecha and finish. By the way, that's true even if you remember the middle of Pesukah de Zimra later on. So let's say you're after the third Halukah and you realize, I did not have Kavanah. So at that point, stop, say Posech HaSidecha till the end of Ashrei. Further, let's say you don't have time to do this. Then at least when Shemon Esrei is over, say Posech HaSidecha till the end. You should at least say it with Kavanah. The Mechaber then, back to the Ramah. The Ramah writes, we say the pasuk v'anachnu nevarach ka, which is not from that pasuk in Tehillim. The koiflin pasuk kol neshama talal ka. We repeat the line of kol neshama talal ka in Haluka. Lefishu Seif Pesukah de Zimra, because that's the end of Pesukah de Zimra. Chin pasuk Hashem yimloich lo'olam v'od. Kishemagi lava'ata Hashem lekeinu moedim anachnu loch. And when we say the line of moedim anachnu loch, do not bow down. You don't just bow down on points where it says, although the meaning of the pasuk is that everyone bows before God, that is not a part of davening where it is instituted to bow. So we don't bow when you're not supposed to. Then the Ramah says, the minig is to stand by Baruch She'amar, by Yivarach David, and Yishtabach, and the Mishnah Berurah explains Ad Sheyomer Atu Hashem Elikim, that we stand by Vayivarach David until the line of Atu Hashem Elikim. Okay, now the Arizal Kisha'amar Va'ata Moshe B'chol Nosin Tzedakah Mu'ud. The Arizal will give tzedakah during Vayivarach David. Mishnah Berurah then says Ubeshabis Mashma B'Beis Yosef Nochen Gam Kein Lamed Kisha'imim Pasach Hashem Melech Hashem Molech. Right after Hoidu we say Hashem Melech Hashem Molech. It implies that you should stand by that as well on Shabbos. The Arizal would stand up when the tzibur would get to Hashem Melech, even if he didn't get up to that point as well. The Mechaber then says in Ches, Ein oimrim hazmiris b'merutza ki menachas. You should not say Pesukah de Zimra quickly. You should say it slowly with kavanah. Says the Mishnah Berurah, so you shouldn't miss even one word. And you shouldn't swallow it up. You should say it slowly, like you're counting money. Because of richasid, if a person doesn't have the proper clothing. Anyway, so the Rabbi Chassid said that if a person, let's say, doesn't have the proper clothing, and if he goes to shul, he's going to be cold, better to stay at home and daven with kavanah. You have to know exactly how far that goes. Just to finish up the Siman, the Mechaber writes in Tess, Mizmer l'soida yesh l'oimer b'negina. We say Mizmer l'soida right after Baruch She'amar. Mizmer l'soida should be said with a song. Shekol ashiras asidus l'batel chutz mizmer l'soida, because all karbanos and all karbanos will not exist when Mashiach comes, except for Mizmer l'soida, because there's no more asking. All you have to do is say thank you. Be'ein oimer Mizmer l'soida b'Shabbos, but we don't say Mizmer l'soida, that paragraph, any time of the year where you don't bring the carbon toda. So we don't say on Shabbos because there's no carbon toda on Shabbos. We don't say it on Yom Tiv because no carbon toda on Yom Tiv. Oimei Pesach, we don't bring a carbon toda on Pesach because the carbon toda was chametz and there's no chametz on Pesach. Shein toda kriv behem mishum chametz v'lei be'erev Pesach. You can't even bring an erev Pesach because again chametz. V'lei be'erev Yom Kippur. because there would be no time to eat it. So we didn't bring on Erev Yom Kippur as well. The Mishnah Berurah explains, She'ein Toida Kreva Oz, Yesh Mekayim Shar Mizl Seder B'Rosh Hashanah V'Yom Kippurim. Some say Mizl Seder on Rosh Hashanah Yom Kippur. But the minig is not to in our Medinas. The reason why we don't bring it on these days is because of chametz. Ki im hatoida yitzrichim habi asar lachmei chametz. You can't bring it on Pesach because it has chametz. It has 10 loaves of chametz. The lachmei, there were 40 loaves of lachmei toida. 30 were matzah, 10 were chametz. Gam be'erev Pesach yucham lo havi toida shem lo yochel lechel ad zman iser. And that's why they didn't bring an erev Pesach, because you wouldn't be able to eat the 10 in time before zman beer, and it would leave v'yitzarchu l'sarfai. And carbon toida is not like time specific. Just bring it after Yom Tov. It's just thanking Hashem. The Mishnah Berurah says that's why Erev Yom Kippur as well, because there wouldn't be enough time before Yom Kippur to eat it properly. So to all the private karbanos that we say in karbanos, do not say in Erev Yom Kippur, because there were no private karbanos in Erev Yom Kippur because there wasn't enough time to eat it before Yom Kippur. Toda, Zulas Parshas Oila Yochel Oila you could. You could say Mizrah Shili Yom HaShabbos on Yom Tov because Yom Tov is called Shabbos as well.